Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for being here, and thanks, Wikus, for being here. Wikus, you are the Deputy Photo Chief for Africa for AFP in Johannesburg. We know each other very well, so it's funny to be in this setting now. We're friends and colleagues, and we've known each other for many years. And thanks so much for being here and for sharing all your knowledge with us today.
No problem at all. Thank you for inviting me.
Of course. And thanks everyone for being here. I see in the chat that you're literally from all around the world, so that's great. So let's start off right away because we have a lot to cover. Can you maybe share, Wikus, how your career started, how you ended up at AFP, and also what your role is as an editor there?
I started being a freelance photographer in 2012 for local newspapers in South Africa, and worked throughout the years. And I was living in Cape Town at the time, and then in 2016, at the end, I really struggled to find work in Cape Town, so I moved to Johannesburg with my camera bag and a bag of clothes, and I'm still here. So it worked out. I started when I was in Johannesburg. I carried on working for the same publications, just in a different area for the South African publications. And I did my first job for AFP at the end of 2017. So then I was a freelance photographer for them in South Africa, and I think it was about 2018, I got really interested in the way assignments are given and how the photo desk works and what happens with the picture after you've sent it to the photo editor. And I kept on asking Marco Longari, who's the Africa chief photographer. I kept on asking him, how do I become an editor? And he just said, no, take pictures. And I was like, okay, cool. And in 2019, I did my first assignment for them outside of South Africa. I went to Mozambique for Cyclone Idai. And later that year, there was a small contract that came up for having a photo editor in Johannesburg, looking at, dealing with the sub-Saharan Africa content from AFP. So when I started, I was just a photo editor, which I worked shifts. So I would come in at like 9, leave at 6, or maybe a bit later, depending on the general news production of the day. And at that time, I was just receiving images, doing the metadata, making sure that it's all good before I publish it onto the photo wire. I will get a bit into what a photo wire is in a bit.
I was going to ask. I was just wondering if everyone knows how this beast works, because AFP is or any photo wire, but AFP specifically is a total beast.
So let me quickly explain that. So like all other wire agencies, we have bureaus around the world, and we have photographers, both staff and freelancers that we work with. And we provide content for publications to use, whether it's a magazine or a newspaper, online websites. There's also there's the broadcast clients. So our pictures go all over the world to clients everywhere. For instance, the Citizen newspaper in South Africa is a client, and then the New York Times is a client, and everything, in between the two. So daily newspapers, weekly newspapers. So the content that we publish is not, it doesn't go out and it's not printed. It's online and people can use it within the context of the stories that we cover. So my role at the moment is to run the Sub-Saharan Africa photo desk I'm based in Johannesburg, but I've also been around to other regions to help out. But I, sometimes I assign stories. I make sure that photographers are briefed on what they need to do. Then when the pictures come in, I make sure that it's what we discussed, and I make sure that the captions are in AFP's format, because AFP has a very specific format within captions, and a good picture with a bad caption is immediately not a good picture anymore. So it's a one of those things that you need to remember, that a photo is only as good as its caption. That's so weird. And
I like that. Oh, you froze.
yeah, I receive the images and then I put them out on the wire, and then the clients can download them and use them. And then I do a lot of admin.
I think you're freezing up a bit, or it's me. Let's see. I think you will come back to us. Oh, or not. Oh, I think it's... Oh, you're good. Thank you, Andre. It's not you. Okay, good. I wasn't sure. Hi, everyone. Okay, Wikus is hopefully on his way back. In the meantime, I think what we're going to do, we're going to pull up his presentation. Wikus, we lost you for a second.
I just need to...
But you're back. Oh, now he's really gone. He will rejoin. So what we will do, we'll share the presentation that he made. Emmanuel Crosset is saying it's the office Wi-Fi, and you know it because you work there, or you work for them. Okay, my Wi-Fi is good, but without Wikus, I am a bit lost. I mean, I can go through his presentation, but that's not going to save us. So what we're going to do, we're just going to wait for a bit, and I hope the Johannesburg Wi-Fi is going to come back to us. I am going to turn on my phone to see if he's typing anything to me. Not for now. There he is rejoining. I hope, and otherwise, I don't know what to do, but we'll get through it. Yeah, let's just wait.
Hello?
Yeah, there, you're back.
I'm back.
Ooh,
sorry about that.
Nervous. No, you're fine.
No, I'm sorry. Must be the internet that's letting me down.
It's okay. Someone did say it might be the office Wi-Fi. Someone, Emmanuel. Okay, so what I did in the meantime, because we missed the last line of one of your responsibilities after you said admin, because that almost made me say, oh, admin, that's the worst, but maybe you actually like it. I don't know.
No, well, I like spreadsheets and filling out the event forms that we have to do to schedule assignments and those kind of things. I quite enjoy those.
Wow, you're special.
So it's
rare.
It's basically I have to just make sure that everything is like all the other departments within AFP knows what we're doing, and we know what they're doing, so that we can coordinate publication times and keep in touch with photographers. Like also go through pictures, discuss it within the newsroom, and also have an understanding of what is happening around the continent and globally, because usually we cover breaking news. That's the main thing we do, but we also respond to breaking news from a different region. For instance, we have this. We can go to the first image.
Yeah, let me do that. There.
Okay, so Donald Trump he invited South African President Cyril Ramaphosa to the Oval Office, and they met last night. So we would send a photographer to go and photograph people from South Africa watching this discussion on TV, and it turned into quite I won't say a heated discussion, just a very like monologue from Trump, and they showed a very controversial video in the White House. So we knew that South Africans would respond today, so it would be good to have something responding to that event happening in the US. So we can. We'll start going through some images, and I'll not necessarily discuss the image, but discuss the context around the image and how it came to be that we covered this. This was Cyril Ramaphosa, a South African president, and Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky at the Union buildings in Pretoria. And this day was actually the day that Cyril Ramaphosa and Donald Trump had a call, and we all know what happened with Zelensky when he was at the Oval Office. So all these things are like kind of like connected in a way. And although these are separate assignments, at the end of the day, they still speak about a wider story. This is a raid where people looted a truck earlier in the day in Soweto, near Johannesburg in South Africa, and the police went and raided a hostel to see if people, to get the looted goods back. So there's a lot of these things happening on a daily basis across the continent. So we respond to what's happening on daily news so that we can keep the clients happy with news.
So how much
on a daily basis?
Contact do you have throughout the shoots with the photographers?
It depends. Sometimes they will already be somewhere and say that this is what they have. We usually leave them alone. We try and brief them before, because if we keep calling, then they don't have time to shoot. I mean, for instance, this was the previous image was they were demolishing houses in Kinshasa that was built next to a river, and a lot of people died during floods, and so they were evacuating the area around it, and this guy was carrying his window frame. He was like salvaging that. So in this case, I knew I spoke with Glody earlier in the day, and I knew that he was going to cover this, and he filed, at the end of the day when he was done, and I published the pictures. So, for instance, the next image of this as well, the photographer alerted us about a protest happening, and we said yes for coverage. And usually when we've worked with certain photographers for a while, we know how they work and how quick they will file. So we can anticipate when we will receive images. Of course, there's a lot of factors that influence this, like internet connection, how safe it is, distances they have to travel. It all depends on the situation of that day, and it's not always easy to send pictures straight away. We do also take pictures like live from the cameras, but that's something I'll get into a bit later.
Do you usually check where images go? Like who publishes them? Do you check the newspapers the next day or online?
Yes. When I come in the mornings, I usually look at all the front pages of the most important newspapers around the world and see who used what, and I can also like search photographers' names, or there's various different ways of following who used the pictures and how they were used. For instance, during the Gabon elections, the pictures that we're looking at now from Daniel and Now, they covered the elections from when the campaign started until the inauguration of the president. So it's also two photographers on the same story, but they don't shoot the same thing. They do different things. and they communicate with each other so that it's well, that we don't receive exactly the same pictures, because it's not very useful for us to have two pictures of the same thing.
So do
So
people
in
throughout the day also, sorry, do people throughout the day also just send you stuff like, hey, there's this riot here, can you use this? Or you
yes, so we get pictures in after photographers have taken them, but it's usually only for like breaking news stuff and not events planned as an inauguration. We'd usually assign a photographer in that case. Another way to tell stories is to also make combos of pictures that is in our archive from when when Nguema took office after the coup in Gabon, after Ali Bongo's family was ousted. Well, not his family, but he was ousted in a coup d'etat, and he became the military leader, or like the interim president. And he would say, he said that he would give it back to civilian rule. And now on the right image, the image on the right, you can see that he's dressed in clothes that we see other political leaders across the continent when they campaign. It's this very similar look. So it's also very interesting to see that they do similar things, but there's like small difference in nuances of how they move, and it's all very, you know, this in itself tells a story. So it's not necessarily, you don't always tell a story with like fresh images. You have to also use archive images or file images that's been done in the past. And it's also a very good thing to go and look at what's out there. If you cover a news event or a feature, or if you have an idea, just go check if someone's not done it before, or so that you don't copy what they do, and you don't have the same, exactly the same idea. You need to have your own unique original ideas. And I think that's like quite a something that sometimes happen is we get pictures of stuff that we did like a year ago or a couple of months ago, so people didn't do the research properly to see this is where this is what we have, and what we're interested in. A very good thing to do as well is to research the publication you are pitching something to. Like, for instance, we're a newswire. We cannot do a story feature about something you've been shooting for 4 years. So people, we cannot pay day rates for 4 years. So it's a very complicated thing to do. But that doesn't mean we don't do features. The next one from a photographer in Kenya, Tony Karumba, he did a story on the anti-venom crisis in Kenya. So he went to the communities where the I just want to find the name of the Watumu snake farm. They send people out into communities and do workshops with them to kind of not introduce them how to handle snakes, but just to say, like, if you do see a snake, this is what you should do, this is what you shouldn't do.
Great shot.
And so now it's not only about the anti-venom that's being produced, it's also about the community. And you can see that it's rural communities, and then they go to like the lab where they would extract the venom from different snakes. And the reason why there's not enough anti-venom necessarily is because if it gets imported, the snakes in different regions of the world are different. So they need to have, snakes from that region to produce the anti-venom. And this is, for instance, image in the hospital of someone that was bitten by a snake, and that's the venom that damaged the guy's leg. And so it's not only let's go and see how they make anti-venom. It's also going to the community. So we do publish features, and it can be shot over like a couple of weeks, or a couple of days, or in one day, or over a weekend. So if we go to the next one, there's all these days that happens across the world, and one of them was World Glacier Day. So ahead of time, we knew when it was, and it was a global thing that AFP did. We photographed a lot of glaciers across the world, and Louis Tato, also a photographer from Kenya, went to the Lewis Glacier on Mount Kenya, and this is the images that he did during a trip. So they did the summit to the second highest peak on, Mount Kenya is the second highest mountain in Kenya, in the region, and they summited the mountain and covered the story. So it's also not only a picture of the glacier that we want, it's a story around that. You don't have to, it's not always show and tell. You have to think of a way to tell a story so that it's not just, here's the glacier, and look how small it is in comparison to what it was. It's also like, who are the people, like the guides that take you up? What is the environment around the glacier look like? All these kind of things that you need to think about when you pitch a story, is that it should also have either continental, it needs to touch on continental themes or on global themes. So it's always a way, like, how does this story tell something else that's bigger than the pictures? Like, how does this relate to what's happening in the world? And of course, climate is a big thing at the moment, again, with like a lot of the things that we do at the moment is responses to what Donald Trump says and do, because like he doesn't care about climate change, but we can see the effects of it. So we have to do these stories about climate, because climate is one of the biggest things at the moment, one of the topics that people speak about.
So when you are working on a story about glaciers, in this case, do you then, as an editor, let other editors, do you let people know, as in The Guardian, or do you tell them, guys, there's a story coming up next week?
So basically, it would be for instance, we didn't. I prepared the images and then we left them for the environmental editor at AFP, and he would prepare a package. And when we send out packages, we package the photos in certain ways to say, like, look, this is the package, and these are the countries, and this is what you can expect. You can search the rest of the pictures here. That's like a way that we package them for other photo editors. But we won't send it out on the day of the World Glacier Day. You'll obviously send it out before so that people can use it.
Yeah.
So you also have to know that when to send the pictures. Like breaking news, of course, immediately, but you also need to plan how you send other stories, and also the way that we do tell stories, like it's not always based on what you see and you follow things. It can also be told in like portraits. So the next series is by Marco Longori. He went to the Benin Voodoo Festival and did portraits there, and it's, of course, like all the people pose for portraits in these images, but it's very calculated. It's very well thought out, but still, these portraits tell you a lot about the voodoo culture, because the background is, it's in like every little detail within the picture is what's that word? Sorry, my English is disappointing me now. It's considered, like every small detail is considered and tells the story.
So does AFP, let's say this story of the Voodoo Festival in Benin might have had 12 portraits. Do you sometimes tell clients that a series has to be published in a certain way? Like, you can only publish this as a series or only in the context of this story? Or are there any restrictions on some of the images, or do they just go onto the wire and good luck?
So most of them just go onto the wire, but we have this this package we call the reportage, where the photo editors will package everything nicely, and on our AFP News website, where the content is available, if you click on a certain story, the video and the text and the photos all come up. So it's all about how we package it and how we publish it. The other editors will still choose what they want, but they will be able to see, oh, this is this is how we published it. So, but we don't say, there's no like restriction, you have to use this picture first and this one last. No, we don't do that. There's some stories that basically you have to say that this is only for that story written about, because if the pictures get used as archive pictures, they might get used out of context. So there are the editorial restrictions and small restrictions that we add onto the
caption information,
like onto the metadata information. That's why metadata plays such a big role currently, because the more metadata we give, the easier it is for people to use and understand on how to use it. So it's extremely important.
I really think, I remember when you spoke about metadata with me a long time ago, on the things that you can actually check that I didn't even know.
Yes.
As an editor, you can really see more than I ever thought you guys can.
No, metadata gives a lot away. It's and it helps when you receive pictures that you don't know who the photographer is or where they come from or what's going on. Then you can check the serial number of the camera. You can check exactly what they did with the file in the XMP information. You can see when it was shot. I mean, of course, sometimes you can get the date wrong on the camera, then it just needs to be changed. But there's a lot of information. We can see the settings of like your aperture, your shutter speed, your ISO. We can see all of that. And then we also use that sometimes to tell photographers, okay, when you go shoot something again, maybe try do things a bit different and try these settings so that your pictures are not as dark in a conference, or the picture might be out of focus because you used a very wide aperture, but it was a group picture, so only one person's. And I'm making things up now. I'm not pointing to any specific photos, but yeah, we can see exactly how the picture was taken, and that gives us a lot of information on how to use the picture, or if we have to use it or not, because sometimes we get pictures that's ripped from Facebook or Twitter, or sorry, X, and then people pitch it, and then you ask for the original files, and they email you a 45 or a 95 kilobyte file, and they're like, no, that's the original. And nowadays smartphones will not take a picture lower than like a megabyte and a half. Like so there's like these little, so that's a one way to also fact check what we receive. One way of like making sure that this is not something that happened 10 years ago, or in a different country or in a different region.
Okay, so everyone, keep that in mind.
So with the sports coverage, the main thing here is the live filing, and so this is full photographer based in Johannesburg, and he files straight from the camera. So we have these Wi-Fi devices, and he plugs it in, and we set FTP settings. So as he shoots, he voice tags it and he sends it our way, and I will prepare the captions ahead of time so we can get these images to the clients like within under a minute, depending on how strong the connection is, and it doesn't work in all countries because the Wi-Fi is not always available, and the cameras aren't always ones that can fire live. But the cricket images, you'll see now, the sports pictures are always, moments like looking for. It's not always about the action, but also what happens after the action. So it's very important to.
So are you then, as an editor, literally doing the Photoshop editing?
Yes. So basically, I receive the picture and the voice note. and he would say South Africa's number 4 jumps to hit the ball, and then I will already have that name typed out and the action. So I use shortcuts to fast track the captioning and publishing. So while the match is on, there's a feed to the clients so that they can use it on live blogs, or, you know, as soon as the trophy's lifted, they'll have it like within a minute or two. So it's a very quick process. And we do it for breaking news as well, which is like, I love editing sports because it's like a rush and you have to be quick and accurate. So there's no time to make errors. It's just, you have to be on it.
Quick and
yes.
on it.
I think what we can do is we can go like quickly through all these sports pictures. And sometimes, you know, when there's like fights between the fans, this was also sent to me very quickly because after the match, the two teams clashed. So
then you think you're done, and you're kind of closing your laptop or whatever, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh wait, there's more.
Yeah.
Your night has
so the photographer, in this case, the photographer called me, Phil called me and said, don't pack up. There's some fights. And then he sent it from the camera again, and I can caption it and send it out. So you have to have your eyes on the back of your head as well when you do sports, because it's not only about the action, it's about everything around as well.
And guys, I see a few questions coming into the comments. Please feel free to put questions in there, and then we're gonna get to them in the end, if that's okay. Or actually, maybe it makes sense, because this is a specific sports question, to actually pull one up now. But that one has been answered. Who does the writing? So that you kind of pre-write.
Oh, yeah, no, that's
put in the voice note.
It's like everything. You can do it in Photo Mechanic. It's called code replacements. So it's a very easy thing to do to set up. And it's not only for sports. We use it in politics. We use it.
What's
like,
it called?
let's say, I know code replacements.
Code replacements. Okay.
Yeah. So you basically make like let's say /02/ and then if the number of the player is that, then. But you can do it for anything. You can do it for the actions as well. So in this case, a player celebrates after the dismissal of another player, but you can go very quickly because you don't have to type the full word. You just do the shortcuts. Of course, you have to learn them.
Celebrate or whatever, and then it knows.
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
So with the sports and those, sorry.
I'm gonna start sending my pictures to you so you can edit them quickly and make a good caption. I never heard of that code replace. I always just am typing away and it's slower.
No, you can save a lot of time with code replacements. It's like it's as important to prepare for an assignment as it is to do it, because you know that you have to deliver it very quickly. You need to know, okay, but because in this case, you know who the players are, you know where they're playing, you know what they're going to do. There's like only that much that can happen. Okay, of course, I didn't have a code replacement for loses his bat because that doesn't happen often. So this image is like, okay, so now I can just quickly type loses his bat and while playing a shot. There are like small things you have to do, but you can prepare most of it in advance, and that saves you a lot of time.
I see an interesting question from Emmanuel Sileshi. How do you manage if breaking news happens in different countries at the same time?
Guys,
I'm gonna stop my camera for 5 seconds. I am hearing you, and I'm back in 5, so I am listening to the answer.
Okay. So basically, what I do is, if there's breaking news in multiple countries, I would look at the feeds, how they come in, and decide, okay, these are the most important pictures, move them first, go on to the next story or the next country, move a few of those, and as they come in. And also that's why it's important to know what is happening around the world, so that you can, move your pictures as fast as you can. And also, you know that, okay, there's enough out of this story, now you can move on to the next one. It's all about like preparing things in advance. So it's
And how big is the team in Johannesburg?
So it's me and Marco Longari. Then we have freelance photographers across the Southern Africa region. Then we have a chief photographer and 2 staff in Kenya, a chief photographer in Abidjan, and another staff photographer in Abidjan, a chief photographer in Lagos and in Dakar, and everyone else is freelancers. And in certain areas, people work more with us than others because, you know, the stories, there's more news or more stories that that clients want. But so
Regions, you mean? Where
sorry, from well,
is that?
it depends on, like, for instance, news in South Africa is quite important at the moment, especially related to the Trump visit, but also when there is, how can I say, there's like a big explosion in Equatorial Guinea, then that will be big news because like something would have exploded. Or I'm trying to think of a recent example quickly.
Couldn't it be the conflict we're now gonna look at?
Yes, we can. Let's start speaking about the conflict because this is a very good example of how a wire functions at its best. Because it happens.
Yeah, no, go ahead, go ahead.
Because it happens in across the region, and there's multiple photographers, multiple cities, multiple countries involved in telling the story. So organizing and maintaining like like an umbrella of images is in this case it's very important to know what the other photographers are doing as well. So communication is key between the editors and the photographers that work on the story. So for instance, when the people were fleeing, when the M23 started pushing down towards Goma, people started fleeing from Minova, and these are the first images we received before, you know, like people leaving their homes and bringing what they can to flee the conflict. And the photographer Jospin, based in Goma, sends us these images, and we publish them. And as the story progresses, it's, you know, it the way we work changes according to what happens. So, for instance, I think the next image, yeah. So this is still when the Congo, the DRC Congo soldiers were, you know, still in town, but people are already fleeing. You can see that there's something happening, and he will cover what's going on there. And then
before we continue, I want to say there are a few quite graphic images coming up. I just want to tell everyone that's here. Yeah, you are seeing a lot of graphic images all day, so you're very used to it.
Yeah. So yeah, it's something that you get used to seeing, but again, it's part of our job. This is what we chose. For instance, there's also a way to tell stories about, like, especially when something graphic has happened. In this case, it was a suspected M23 member that was burnt and stoned, and you know, there's a very nuanced way to photograph this. And the only way you get to do this is if you photograph all the time and you understand the story and you understand how you want to tell it. So it's not an easy picture to take, but I think in this case, the photographer did extremely well to take a picture showing exactly what's happened and, you know, the consequences of what happened. And because you can also see that there are some kids gathering, like you can see the so it's a very, it's not, you don't always have to go like show and tell. You have to think, how can I tell this a bit different? So now these pictures by Tony, he was in on the other side of the border. So he was in Rwanda, and these were the people fleeing the conflict. Not on this image, they were military contractors that were also leaving. I think I can't remember where they were from, but these guys are they are part of the soldiers that said, okay, we don't want to fight, and they flee into Rwanda. So now we have a photographer on the other side. So now all of a sudden, the story is the same, but it's a different photographer, different different space. The same with this. The M23 soldier stands there in the background looking at the people, who's leaving DRC for Rwanda. And you can
how you put this together with, I mean, how you combine it, because it makes the story so much more.
And here it's again, this is in Kinshasa, the Rwandan embassy that was attacked. So it goes, like, the story doesn't stay in Goma. The story evolves out of Goma into different parts, and then you need to know, okay, what happens here, what happens there, and you need to send different photographers to different cities and anticipate what's coming next. Luckily, we work with very experienced photographers and very experienced editors that know these things. When I started, I had absolutely no idea what was happening. It was always like really complicated to go like, but how do you know this? But because we, are up to date with the new, how the news works and how things are like between countries, it's easier to navigate how we do the coverage.
Mm-hmm. Andre is asking, how do you consolidate seeing graphic images so often and keeping your wits about you? And how do you deal with the potential secondary trauma?
I have a very good psychologist, and there's like we have a in-house training at AFP that they got a session especially for editing violent images. So we did a workshop on how to deal with like looking at violent images on a regular basis. And one of the small things that always helps me is that I know that I'm going to look at violent images. So you sit down, you do it, and you go. Or you stand up and you look at your screen from a different angle. So you disrupt your current workflow in order to just know that this is not the norm. This is not the only thing that I'm looking at. Is because also we don't only, like you'll see now, there's a picture coming soon about like, of course it's very complicated to cover things in a conflict zone, but there's there's burials and things that carry on. I think the picture that I'm talking about will come up soon. Not this one, not this one, not this one, this one. People still get married. People still have Valentine's Day. Life goes on. It might not be under the best circumstances, but life carries on. And it's very important to do these kind of assignments within the conflict, like while it's happening, because you need to show that people still love each other. People still get married in groups. It's really when you get images like this, it's really
beautiful.
Like it's like a small break, it's like, okay, now we can carry on.
I think really with these kinds of pictures, it also humanizes people a lot. Daily life, I just love daily life images like this because they show what humanity is, and the other images are very important to show as well, but they kind of show what humanity can be at its worst, and this just shows beautiful life. Casey is asking, how does the photojournalist stay safe? Does working with AFP provide additional protection or access?
So most of the photographers that we work with in conflict zones have experience in conflict zones, or they live in the city that this is happening. There are a lot of the freelancers that we work with that has undergone the
training,
the hostile environment training, and for instance, we will not send someone that's never shot a protest or never seen anything like remotely close to conflict, to a conflict zone, because that's like we make sure that when we do send people, that we have security measures in place. We provide them with security equipment. We make sure that they have a, like that they don't stay out after dark and, for no reason. We make sure that they have a safe place to stay. And it's not necessarily adding additional protection, but it the way that we organize and set these things up is that extra barrier of security, I suppose. And also we work with a consult, like we have a security consultant in Paris that we work with, that we have to clear certain assignments with. Marco is a very experienced editor. He's covered things all over the world. So, it's not like a very quick decision. These things are taken very seriously. And if there's like a chance that things will go wrong, we tell people not to go out, stay in. It's like you need to remember that your life is not worth a picture. You need to be safe at all time. You also need to know that when you're not safe, you need to tell the editors and tell the people around you. Also, working in groups is of course better, so that you're never alone somewhere. You have to know that there is a way to get out of the conflict. Or like either you can call someone, someone can carry you. You have a vehicle, so you have to again prepare in advance for these kind of stories.
Yeah, I think the fear can be that they take bigger risks, right? Because they're freelance.
Yeah.
They really want to get literally themselves into the picture, seen by editors. So that is a bit of a risk. But it sounds like AFP is taking good care of people.
We there's like quite a rigorous process before we decide to send someone into uncharted territory. It's not just like, go and speak to you when you come back. It doesn't work like that. It's a very serious process, and we take things very seriously.
Yeah, I know you do. Let me just see. Yeah, that's a really lovely question that I have wondered myself about you. How do you manage your previous life as an acclaimed documentary photographer? It's not a previous life, you still are, in my mind. Like, your work is really amazing, your photography. But how do you manage that and mix it with your current life as a photo editor, notwithstanding the economic demands on one's life?
That's Jiva. He was, when I started out as a photographer, he was one of the people that helped me a lot. I remember him once saying to me that when I started working for a newspaper, he told me, do not become a one-picture photographer. And I will never forget this. So I understand the question completely. I still work on my own assignments on my own time. And sometimes, when I go and photograph things, which is not very often anymore because I'm on the desk mostly, I still look for things that I'm interested in and that can add to the body of work that I have. But most of the things I shoot now is on my own time when I'm on holiday or away for a weekend or something. Also, I've realized that I am much better at being an editor than being a photographer. So it was also like it took me like a few years to get to this point where I'm better at this than taking pictures. And this is what I want my career to be. I want to be a photo editor. I don't want to be a photographer. It's nice to go and take pictures every now and again, and I love it. I will never not love it. But as a job, I prefer to be an editor because you get to collaborate with so many people, and you learn so much from the people that you work with. It's not, because you deal with people on such a often like a regular occasion, you get to know what photographers will send certain images, and you'll know, okay, this photographer will spell this word wrong always. Like it's like you pick up like small things like that, and it's a it's an interesting relationship that you build with the people you work with. It's fun, sometimes very stressful, but also at the end of the day, you need to understand that everyone has their job, and we work in a very stressful environment, so there's a lot of tension. But you need to also know how to deal with that tension and know that, yes, I might say something like now that might not be nice, or like give you constructive criticism on your work, but 5 minutes later we can speak again. It's not that I'm gonna be angry now for
forever.
But also, you need to also understand that if it's a constant issue and it keeps on happening, then like somewhere you need to come to a compromise. So it's a very difficult territory to navigate, but it's a fun one.
I really feel you're a born photographer, so I hope you keep continuing doing that, to be honest. But as an editor, I mean, you've never been my editor, but I know you quite well, and I know the way, for anyone that's working with Wikus that is here today, I think all of you know that he really, truly, deeply cares. You will not sleep if one of your photographers has like an issue of some kind. He'll be awake at night. And I think it's quite rare how much you care about the well-being of your photographers, about giving them the best advice to get the right picture. And it really shows, I think, from what has been coming in through AFP in pictures.
It's a big team effort. I think I learned how to be an editor from extremely good editors and people who really care about our industry, about photojournalism, taking it to the next level, making sure that the work quality and the work standards just keep on increasing, and not being happy with good enough. But it's like we have to always know that we have to work to do our best. Every assignment, everything we do needs to be the best at our best at our best capabilities, because that's how we will be able to keep on working, if we work towards this and not just settle with let's just do screen grabs of everything on video.
No, please, let's not go there. Yeah. I do think, I think it's the difficult part of this job. Well, I think many things are difficult in being an editor, but also what I would find very difficult is to tell photographers, sorry, I don't think you really got the right images here. Does that happen a lot, where you have to guide people into, because I'm thinking about that because you just said we want to get the best and not settle for less. And so is there a lot of feedback, and sometimes like you have to tell people,
Yeah, so again, it's a very complicated question and a very complicated answer, but you need to, because we're a photo wire, we need certain production. We need a certain kind of production, because you need to cater for clients, like I mentioned earlier, from the daily newspaper, the local daily newspaper, and then a magazine that runs features. So you cannot just do one image stories. You have to think beyond that. So again, it goes into the planning, it goes into this discussion with the photographer beforehand, is like, this is what's possible, this is what we need. And if they pitch stories, they need to tell us, this is what I am capable of getting, this is what I am aiming to get, but these are also the risks of not getting what I am proposing, so that we know if we take on an assignment, that there is a small risk that this is not going to work out. It's a very important thing to remember when you do pitch something. A lot of people send us links. I don't know what to do with the link. I click on it, but then I read someone else's story and see someone else's pictures. If you pitch something, you need to say, this is the story, this is the idea, this is how I want to do it, this is why I want to do it right now in the current state of the world. This is why it's important, or this is why it's interesting. And then say, these are the things I want to get, like A, B, C, D. You don't have to make a list of pictures, but like in general, like a general like theme of what you can. And also, like, what is the cost involved? Do you need to travel? Do you need to stay in a hotel? Because those are also things we have to consider before saying yes to assignments. We have to look at the financial aspect of it, if we can actually afford to send someone.
So can people who have not worked with you before also reach out and pitch a story to you, or is AFP kind of?
No, it's I mean, of course, we have our regular freelancers that we work with in countries across the sub-Saharan Africa region, but we also do get pictures from photographers that we've met at a photo festival, or someone's introduced them to us, or we have had a couple of cold calls where we took the assignments because they were really good. They were very well presented and very well explained, and the photographers delivered. And some photographers don't want to shoot breaking news. That's not what they like doing. They just want to do features. Other photographers just want to shoot breaking news. Other photographers just want to do sports. So it depends on who you are as well. And you also, I'll go back again to this, is you need to know that who you pitch something to. Remember, we're a photo wire. We work in a very specific way. So if you did a story for instance, let's say Ilvy's Born Free story, if she's been spending, I don't know how many years on it.
18.
Yeah, so if you come to me now and you've not published anything and say, like, look, I've got 18 years worth of work, can you put it out? Like, no, we cannot, because it's not how we work. It's not for us. We cannot. What you want and what we can offer, or what we want and what you can offer, is not the same thing. So you need to know that the stories you pitch need to fit in within a certain scope of, this is what the wire needs and this is what AFP wants. So it's yeah, do your homework on exactly what it is that you want to pitch, because it's never nice to say no to a pitch. It's never nice to do that. But I also have a job to do, and I also have to be very critical and very structured, and I need to know what to take and what not to take. And yes, we do make mistakes. We do drop the ball sometimes and say no to things that we should have said yes to, and vice versa. But that's how you build a relationship with a photographer. Because also you don't want to always go like, no, this is what I need. I need 5 headshots, 2 general views, one,
you want to give them some freedom.
The photographer needs to have freedom to do their style and their, like the way they photograph. And once you have your style and the way you do things, then when we have to assign, when we have to do like assignment or hand out assignments, we know who to ask, because we know, okay, this photographer is great at this, so we'll send him or her, or this photographer has these contacts because of a long-term project she's doing, and then we would send her, because it works in that way. So it's also good to publish your work.
So, because there's some more questions coming in, but I'm not sure which slides are going to come up.
Oh, so the rest of the slide is
Becoming
it's just
a bit of a thing.
again, like just showing
It's gorgeous.
the for instance, this assignment you cannot plan ahead of time because you don't know what's going to happen the next day, but you can anticipate what's going to happen. And we have photographers in different places, so we know, okay, this is kind of what they're going to do, and their feedback to us from the field is super important. Because if I tell them, okay, go and photograph a burnt bridge, maybe there's no burnt bridge, you know. So it's also, you need to trust your photographer on the ground.
To be honest, I would say I don't do wire things anymore, but I used to. I think that was and that's literally 15 years ago. So whatever I'm saying now is old news. But I think one of the most difficult thing was editors sending you to very specific, go photograph the burning bridge. And then you say, there wasn't one. I've had it at the World Cup in South Africa, actually, where my editor said, photograph the orange crowd from above, get into a helicopter. I got into the helicopter. There was no orange, like Dutch people wearing orange at all. There was no one. And there were maybe 5 standing close to each other. And he was like, yeah, just crop it. And making things that aren't there, and you do see that with editors, but I'm happy to hear you're saying we send you out and you are the eyes on the ground, basically.
Sorry, I think I lost you there.
I said you are luckily saying to your photographers, you're the eyes on the ground, and you're not going to micromanage from Johannesburg and tell people to find certain things that aren't there, or maybe aren't there. Oh, he's gone again. No. Look at that. Is it? You guys know. Am I
back?
stuck or is he stuck? Oh, yeah. I am hearing you now. Can you hear me? Uh-oh. It is, I think, his internet again. Okay, I'm just going to wait. Okay, guys, I do see your questions coming in. We are going to get to them. If he gets back. There he is. And I think I'm going to start with the question from Marina, although I haven't read it yet. But hello, you're back. You're back. Marina's question: we live in an age and world that seems to prioritize violent images. It seems like we are getting this anesthesia.
Did I disappear again?
You did to them. Yes, you did. But we now are at Marina.
Sorry.
How important do you think it is to increase coverage of stories that give hope and show the human side of a very inhuman world? Kind of the solution-based journalistic stories. Do you feel there should be more room for those? Thanks for the good question, by the way, Marina.
Look, I think that there should be a way of telling stories where hope is shown. I'm not saying that we should only do stories about stories that give hope. It's the stories we do, we need to factor in the coverage that this can also be something hopeful if it's done in a different way. For instance, coverage like the conflict that we just looked at. It's sure there's a lot of violent imagery, but there's also there's also images. For instance, the image on Valentine's Day. You need to look out for those images too, and that's why you don't stop covering something when the violence stops. You go and it's like, okay, how are people rebuilding? How are people, moving on? So I think it's important to tell a story as it is, but of course be open to the solution as well, and not stop the coverage there. Because at where the violence ends, it's always, and that's the nice thing about having photographers in different areas in different countries covering the same topic, because you have access to a broader story. You have
Yeah,
access
see,
to
to see
multiple
the
voices.
story from all these different angles, photographed in different ways. I think you really get another sense of what the conflict is about as well, and see the human side as well. It's more, it's a bit frustrating now that I see how broad the coverage on this was. Is that newspapers then, of course, which totally makes sense, use 3, 4, 5, 6 maybe images.
But
I would love to
the
see
nice
like a lot more. Like
so I had a lot of fun putting this together, because usually, like I said earlier, is I just put them on the wire and make my small packages. Not my packages for the photographers. But it was really interesting to look at a coverage as a whole, and not only as a photographer, and then putting them together and see how the story unfolds over a couple of months. And it's not something that, like, layout is not something I do. I don't do like, oh, this is the first picture, this is the second one. This is not the kind of editing I do at AFP. But I personally like to make things. Like, I like to bind books and, put pictures together, and I would still love to edit someone's book one day. And those are the things that excite me. But I can do the other things, like, that's why I'm looking at beyond what I do at my work, because I do a very specific kind of editing, and it's, again, it's the specific kind of content that we receive. So sometimes looking at something from, like, a couple of months later, then you get the bigger idea. And it's it's not always easy to find a way to show it like this, but it is nice to show it like this.
Yeah.
And also, some of the photographers, like, I'm pretty sure that some of the photographers I work with I'll never meet. I'm lucky to have met quite, like, a few of them when they pass through South Africa, or when I'm traveling around to meet them. But it's a very interesting way also to communicate with someone, because a lot of the photographers we work with, they speak French, and I don't speak French. And so a lot of the conversations happen through Google Translate, and things get lost in translation.
Yeah, that's not.
But you learn how to work with people. Oh, sorry, I miscredited this picture at the end. This is not Luis's picture. I'm sorry. See, I also make mistakes, but you have to claim it, huh? You have to claim it.
Well done,
If you
did
make
you
a mistake, you claim it and you correct it.
So whose picture is it?
This is Jospin's picture, the Jospin Michwa. I am not sure how Luis's name ended up on there, but
Jospin.
see, now everyone knows, if you make a mistake, you put your hand up and you say, I made a mistake,
did it.
because we all do. Okay, it's it's
a
very
good
important. If you make a mistake when you pitch stories or send captions through, don't leave it until a month later and then say, oh, I made a mistake. You need to tell people immediately.
Especially
and I
with
think,
Wire, because it just
yes,
spreads like a wild.
There's a way that we can. Sorry, but this thing's bothering me now. Just go back to the previous picture. Like, I can't see them. Keeping my
mistakes.
Yeah, I made my mistake, but you kept on showing it to me now. No, this is fine. This is Luis's picture. But
2 last questions that we need to get to.
Okay.
Or did I now, like, what were you gonna say?
No, I was just gonna say that when you make a mistake, claim it, communicate it, and don't make it the next time.
And then never look at it again. That's why we're now 1 picture back.
No, you can show me later again, and won't sleep tonight. But that's my problem. So it's okay.
Okay, there's one. There are 2 questions. One that was way in the beginning. Exactly. Thank you so much, from Danielle. That was way up there. Danielle's asking, what are the criteria for photographers to work with AFP?
If you have a camera and you can take pictures and you know how to pitch a story, and it is something that is interesting for the Wire, then that's the criteria. Also, don't work if you have a job with another wire agency, then no, you cannot also work. Like say you're a staff photographer for another wire agency. No, we can't take your pictures then. It's like also if you're a freelancer and you work for us on that day, then we need to know that that's going to be our production, not the same picture somewhere else. So there's no like criteria. It's just you need to have a good idea and know how to pitch it and at the right moment. And then we get emails all the time, and we work with photographers when they pitch stuff. But if we don't get pitches, we can't commission stuff because we don't know.
I see. Thank you for answering that. So people know how to reach you. They saw your email address. They know they need a camera, not work for other wires, know how to pitch a story to you. I actually thought Andre had a question. There, but it's actually a cool story. It says, when I first met Wikus, his first words to me were, "Oh yeah, I know who you are. I edited your photos." He remembered me from when he was covering in another country. I had absolutely no idea of this, and that was very telling. If there is anyone who cares and remembers, it's him. And I agree very much.
Yeah. I was working in Los Angeles at the desk for a month, and he was based in Canada, and he sent pictures of a storm. So I remembered his name, and then he reached out to us when he was when he had a brief stint on the continent, and I met him at Visa Pour l'Image last year. So it's like these things flow into one another, and it's great to meet people in unexpected ways.
Yeah, which is, I think, the nice part of being an editor, because you get to meet everyone. Okay, there's 2 questions coming in. I already said that we had 2 last questions, but I think no one's really going to get very angry if we go over time. Maybe someone is, but we won't know. So we're just going to do it. These are the 2 last questions. Sorry, for now we have to close the questions. The first one is from Verity, right? Sorry, I don't know how to pronounce your name. I'm so sorry. Fitzgerald, and the question is, how do you think your role as an editor has changed since you've been an editor in terms of the evolution of how news is consumed?
Verity, why are you asking me difficult questions? I
also
know her.
Because I'm going to ask in a short way, because we can't go over time too much. But I just love the last 2 questions that came in are really good questions. So let's do it. Okay,
so I'm way more critical when I look at news now. I also have to know a lot to know the side stories, but I do focus on what we as a wire agency do, and that's kind of the news that I follow, is the way it works. But I do still love to read like a long article and look at a photo essay and things like that. But it definitely changed in terms of how quick the output is, because I don't always have time to read long essays and look at long photo essays. It's changed, but for the better, I suppose. But every now and again, I go back to the way I used to consume news. But I consume a lot more news than usual.
Thank you for that.
I hope that answered your question.
I think it did. For me, it did. I hope also for her. Annette Lofi, the question is, how did your work change over the years? Well, we kind of heard that now. Did artificial intelligence have an influence on editing? Oh, I'm very curious about that, because...
Yes. So, of course, artificial intelligence it needs to be, treaded around carefully, but also it needs to be used in terms of making the editing process more productive. There are, I mean, facial recognition for one. There's that will change the way photos are captioned in the future, I think, because I think it will just pick up who's in the picture and put the name there for you. So it is, at the moment, it's not made like such a big influence on the images I receive, because we can't use AI in images, of course, but I'm yet to discover how artificial intelligence can help me in editing. It's not something that I've looked at, but I think instead of being scared of the AI possibilities, of course, we need to always have our eyes open wide to spot AI images, but there's a different side of imagery. There's a side to it that can increase workflow. So
Absolutely.
yeah.
I've actually used it and tested it in the last year, and some of the things when it comes down to editing, I've realized that AI can do a much like clearer job at times, depending on which images. I've been amazed. I thought I was a pretty good like toning and editing, but I've really learned a lot from working with AI. Of course, within all the journalistic limits, and there are many. So it's quite basic what I'm now using, but I think our workflow very quickly will change even more. I don't think we can even grasp it now.
Especially the metadata on images. The like when I say streamline, like it's strange, because when I think of streamlining my production, it's writing metadata, because that's like 75% of my job is writing metadata onto pictures. When I handle a picture, like not my whole job, but when I get a picture, 75% of it is looking at the metadata. So that's the only thing I can say in terms of AI.
Thanks, Wikus. Thanks, everyone, also for all your great questions. I see there's more coming in, but we really have to stop. We went overtime quite a lot, which I loved, because I really...
Sorry.
No, I really like this discussion, and I love all the things you say. And also, it really, really gave me a good insight on what AFP does and how you guys do this. For anyone and everyone that's here who wants to pitch a story to Wikus, I think you're very open to receiving ideas. His contact info is right there. And yeah, I'm very thankful that you wanted to do this. And I hope that everyone can join on another one in the future, on one of our next episodes. Thanks, everyone, for listening. And thanks, Wikus, for sharing so much. It was lovely.
It was lovely speaking to everyone as well. Thanks for listening to me, and sorry for the few glitches in terms of my connection.
Hey, we survived, and it's not easy sometimes with Wi-Fi there. I learned. Thank you. Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.